Thank you, Pablo. Hello, dear people of the Vision. I will tell you a bit about a project that we did, in industrial inspection project regarding batteries. So, to motivate this, batteries is a well-known thing. You know, when you're doing a battery, you always start with some substrate. You have, of course, an anode. You have a cathode. You mesh them together, put in some electrolyte, and bam, you have a battery. It's a very old application. As you see, this is one of the first electric vehicles. At some point, they were on the verge of overtaking the automotor, but now we are there again. So, how do you create one battery? So, as I said, you need some material that makes an anode or a cathode. For the cathode, it's usually quite some bad stuff, nickel, manganese, cobalt, stuff that you want in long term to get rid of. But of course, right now we have it. So you mix up all those materials in like this dark slurry, and you then want to apply it on the substrate foil. So this is like it's copper. It can be copper. It can be aluminum. For these cathodes that we're looking into, it was aluminum. And you have a sharp knife. You pull the substrate over the depot. You have a knife that applies the whole thing in a defined thickness on the substrate, and at some point you have to dry it, so it will stay on the substrate. Next thing what you do is you push it together, you mash it together to get a real homogeneous coating, and then you can cut out some one of these small patches. All of them have the tabs, and those tabs are then what you see then later on this kind of battery. Then you don't not only have one kind of thing, one anode cathode combination by yourself. You stack it up on top of each other to increase the capacity. And the last thing that you would want to do is just fill in the electrolyte, break it in, and you have your battery. It's not that hard. Maybe nothing you would want to do it at home, but you could very well if you have the materials. So we are concentrating on this in this project. We concentrated on this coating and drying phase. This is we have colleagues of us are doing a battery research lab, and the need is to quantify how good are they. They're changing materials, they're changing formulations, they have different kinds of chemistry, and now the question is, how good is it? Of course, they can do analysis on the micro level, which they do, but they always have like at most one fingernail full of patch of your material, and if you want to really quantify it in a broader size, you would want to see for it at larger scales, and this is what we did. So to motivate those, this is two images of the cathode we looked in, and when you're doing direct measurements, it's dark material. It's just a black patch, and you will suffer from in an intensity image from not seeing too much, because there's a lot of structure involved in the material, and if you want to see like minute details that you or minute defects that you would want you rather would want to use photometric stereo, and this patch this figure on the right side reveals there was this one wrong streak. I will come to it back, because there's some different kind of very specific defects that you will get when you're coating batteries. So, as I already said, dark surface material is an issue, especially if you want to go then in scale up, and you want to do it. And I think in the industry you say it's the gigafactory scale, you know. And there you have running speeds of at least 2 meters per second, 4 meters per second, and you want to have like resolutions of like down to 25 microns per pixel, so this is a quite high-speed process, and it also means that that the algorithm that you're working with has to be able to keep up with the speed, and photometric stereo is something that you see at our booth, but also in then of our of other exhibitors, quite well suited for that. So here again we have a nice depiction of this coating process. As I told, there's the knife, there's the depot, there's the drying part. In the end, you collect the roll for calendaring, and what we did was to introduce one of those photometric stereo systems right at the end of the drying stage, which is quite a quite good place to do it. Yeah, so let's go with that. Just one slide overview of photometric stereo, specifically the inversion case, just a academia foil, because it's a very nice algorithm that you can summarize very well on this one slide. So you have like this camera, you're looking down on your surface, and you have several light sources. And when you shine a light from the light source on the surface and it hits the camera, you will get some intensity reading. And when you move this light source to some other direction, maybe to that one, you will get your intensity reading will be brighter. So now, when you do it several times, at least 3 times, you can compute the surface slant. So where does this particular piece of surface look into? Just from these readings, and you will also get not only the surface itself, but also the albedo, which is basically not the color, but the intensity response of your material without the slanting effect. And this is exactly the algorithm that we used. We developed an acquisition setup specifically for those anode foils. Here you see the setup in the lab. There is this there's a roll on which we put up one of those samples. We have readings from it for different sites, and then we turn up when we run this through this algorithm, come to this bluish, reddish, violet image where each of the color channels, the red, the green, and the blue one, represent the vector, the normal vector that you will get from the algorithm. But because these are a bit hard to interpret if you're looking at it, we are usually using the surface gradient, which is basically just the change of the vector of the surface vector from one pixel to the other. It gives you like a gray image where if everything is standard gray, nothing is happening, the surface will be totally flat, and if something goes up, it will get white, and otherwise it will get black. So this is more or less how to interpret those images that you see here. We started with this laboratory setup, and this was the specifications were like at 50 microns per pixel or 20 microns per pixel, and it was going like for half a meter per second, which was for the lab setup quite okay, certainly sufficient. But then within an EU project we had this requirement, okay, what is when you want to go deeper? If you want to have like more detail, for one, can you go faster? Yes, we could. We could go for like 2 meters per second, and then another thing would be the other question was like, okay, can you go it at 10 microns per pixel? It does work very nice, but the one trade-off you do, and this is one of the issues you have with all the other exhibitors, optics is a trade-off game. If you gain something on one hand, you lose it on the other, and what you lose here is the field of view. So you only have like a 5 centimeters ratio, but for that it works very well. You can see the setup here, right here, and the variation of that is also seen. It's distributed now over those two to demonstrate. It has been a while back. So what kind of defects did we see? We saw pinholes. Pinholes is like very small porous locations stone over this, stone over the foil, and you should get something a reading like that. So the albedo of that of this here is dark. You have these small dots, and it turns out those small dots don't always coincide with the pinholes that you get. I have to qualify here. Pinholes is, if you ask a guy who does battery chemistry, will say, oh no, you need that. You need some porous stuff. So your electrolyte can get into the anode, but if you have like bigger holes, this is an issue. So this is a very nice thing. By the way, I always had to ask my colleagues for the worst samples they could do, and of course this is something a battery chemist wouldn't want to give out. So I'm very happy for them to give them to me, and this must be one of the most interesting ones. This was a hand-coated thing. This is what can happen if you do it by hand, and you see that you have all kinds of defects that you have here. You have like this lava, this crater landscape. You have the cracks, which you don't want, and one of the biggest. And you also have like agglomerations and so on. This is something that you really don't want. So we quantified what we got from our colleagues, and we arrived at 4 different kinds of very common defects. The first one would be the agglomerations. You saw it in the crater landscape. This is a real bad kind of defect because it stands out. And if you have like some of this spiky stuff going out from your electrode, and you stack it together, it can happen that it can pierce the substrate material. The whole battery will give you like a electric short, and then it will burn down maybe a house. I don't know, a ship. You don't want that. This is the one defect that you really don't want to have. Then you have the cracks. So when your formulation is not really correct, then you will get those kind of cracky stuff. Is also stuff that goes up. The other thing is cavities, which result from very small bubbles that burst and leave these quite nice craters. Also an issue with the formulation. And then is the blade trails. Blade trails is a very profound thing. So we talked about the knife. If the formulation is not very perfect, you have like something like some little stone in it, then it will clog the knife, and then you will have a trail where you have inhomogeneous coating. And of course, we collected that. We annotated some of us, 26 of those sets to give you a large amount of different images, and quantified them. This is an example of the mask, and I don't want to go too much into the detail about the model, because it's rather stock ResNet a model with that's well known. The one thing that we did was we didn't use the intensity. As I said, we used the gradient or the XY vectors of our reading with that, and came down to results that look like that. So we have like here's some blade trail. Here was an annotation. This was the result, and we're doing like pixel level segmentation here. And in the end, we came to classifier that can for 99% correctly identify good defective parts. And the other thing is you also don't want you want to have a very small false negative rate, which is also given here. False positive rate. So you don't want to have when you have a lot of material going on, you don't want errors when there are none, because this will disturb your production thing. So going together, I showed you a use case of an inspection system for battery electrodes. We tested it up to 2 meters per second, albeit with a very small field of view, but nonetheless. It can be used in those kinds of machines, and it can stream you out like these other devices that we have here, the defect data. And we also saw that that photometric stereo works quite well with those kind of surfaces. And in that, I think you don't have to read all of this, but just in case, I say thank you, and I'm up for your questions.